based on membership at the WBF by zones, and the membership of Europe nowadays easily outstrips that of the North America zone. As Bill says, the North America zone is very large, and of course it has very few countries. Unlike Europe, which is large and has 49 or 50 countries nowadays competing in the European qualifying for the Bermuda Bowl. And I think Bill says it's historical, and I think that probably is right. And we do see the strength of the various zones vary over time. Traditionally in the Bermuda Bowl, it's been Italy against America if you go back over the years and decades. But I think in the last 15 years, 10 to 15 years, the strength of European bridge has leapt up to the extent that we now see lots of Europeans playing in the big American tournaments. And if you look at the later stages of the American tournaments, it's normally a 50-50 split between foreign experts and American experts. That wouldn't have been the case in the 90s and before, when the USA definitely had huge strength in depth.
Yep, I think there's something fundamentally wrong here. I want to take Africa, for instance. They are allowed to send 2 teams. Well, it's an enormous degree, but Brit-wise, it's not a superpower by any means. So compare Africa's 2 to Europe's 6, and I think there's something really wrong there.
I know that there are some sort of rules here coming from the Antipodes and the Zone 7 region, which is essentially Australia and New Zealand, also gets 2 teams, which ends up always being Australia and New Zealand. However, that position is only dependent on the teams performing sufficiently well in the Olympiads, the event that's run every 4 years with every country entering. So there is a performance requirement against the Australasian zone, and maybe there is also against the African zone.
I think there is a performance requirement for the North American zone as well, in that whether they get 2 or 3 teams is dependent on the Olympiad performance. Whether that is sustainable when there's supposed to be an Olympiad next year, and I still have no idea whether it's actually happening or where it's going to happen, is interesting for the future of the Bermuda Bowl, which just keeps going.
Well, don't we have a venue for the Olympiad next year?
I don't know. I have seen in the English Bridge Union minutes of their tournament committee and their selection committee, I can't remember which, that they were concerned that they don't know where the Olympiad is going to be, and by default it should have been in the UK, as the Olympics is going to be in London. And then a subsequent minute saying that it might be in August somewhere, but it will clash with a big EBU event. So they don't seem to know publicly or admit publicly where it's going to be yet. I haven't seen anything, and I'm fairly close to the Scottish selection process for these things.
So, we've got around that topic very well, gentlemen. And we should be ready to start any second now. Play started in the closed room a little while ago. So with some luck we'll get all the comparisons in this room. There's a but, however, because we have Grue and Lall playing here, and they are very fast. Levin and Weinstein are not always at least, but I have a feeling that time won't be an issue in this room.
Just your normal 7-5 hand to start the semi-final of the Bermuda Bowl. Just settle in easily first thing in the morning.
Yeah, what are you going to open that hand?
I think Grue's going to open it 1 diamond and then rebid something like 3 spades to show a weak 5-6.
What a start for the USA 1 team. Getting doubled in 4 diamonds, making for a score of 510. In the other room we have Fleischer, Camille, North South. Against Bathurst and Sagorin. So Grue never introduced his spades, did he? No, not yet. Well, he persevering with diamonds.
I guess he doesn't see a lot of combinations where spades will play better than diamonds. Partner would have to have a singleton diamond and a lot of spades and be able to rough out the diamonds. Otherwise the diamonds are going to play equally well as the spades.
I'm asked, this board isn't complete yet. Why already 10 imps for USA 2? It's because they have a 10 imp carry over from the encounter in the round robin. USA 2 won that match by 20 imps and they are allowed to carry half of it forward. That is the explanation.
I think even if you gave Lall 4 spades and a singleton diamond, it's really likely that diamonds would play better, isn't it?
Yep, very small target for spade contract there. Looks like they, assuming this makes, they're going to match the closed room result.
Yes, I agree. That's sentiment, but isn't it still strange that you never ever introduce a 5-card major? It's not that it's like 8, 7, 6, 3, 2. It's 8 jack and 3 small.
But on say a heart lead, you have to rough and then you have to lose the lead twice perhaps in diamonds. It just needs a lot, doesn't it? And the real danger is that if you bid 2 spades and the opposition bid 4 hearts, your partner might bid 4 spades and now you don't know where you stand. And when it gets doubled, you don't know whether to stand it or bid on to 5 diamonds. So he's resolved that particular problem by just bidding his diamonds.
Well, it's pretty easy to play, isn't it? I mean, you lose a club for 2 diamonds, and then you just take a spade finesse. No reason to do anything fancy here.
So I wonder, these four are all great friends, and I think they mainly live in Las Vegas as well nowadays. I wonder what the side bet on the match is. For the practice match, they were talking about an expensive restaurant, and Weinstein told Grue that there wasn't a restaurant expensive enough in the Netherlands, so they'd have to do it in Vegas.
It seems like a vague insult to the Dutch, somehow.
Well, maybe Weinstein meant that there wasn't a restaurant expensive enough in Veldhoven, which is where they're going to be most of the time, of course.
I could point to a couple of pricey restaurants in Amsterdam, at least.
Well, I think you need a lot of hindsight to complain about East-West doubling this contract. 24 points, they freely bid 3 no-trumps. I just think they couldn't let their opponent get away playing undoubled after this auction. So I wouldn't blame them at all for hitting 4 diamonds.
Grue would really like to find out more about the hand, in particular where the heart armors are, just to try and help him judge whether he needs to do something unusual in the spade suit. But with limited entries to dummy, he's not going to be able to do that. An excellent switch from Weinstein. It forces
Whoa. Well, he had to do it right now, didn't he?
Well, he's never
well, he
given
might get his
back to
spade
the
back
dummy.
from Levin.
This is a surprise. So was he going to play for Queen Doubleton all along? Queen Doubleton in either hand. This is really strange. Why would he take an anti-percentage line here?
Well, I think it's really tough for Levin not to lead a spade.
Well, I don't know. Surely he knows Declara's got the ace, and Weinstein wouldn't lead a spade away from the ace, would he, with the king and dummy?
Yes, very true. I was thinking that Weinstein might lead away that he had the ace and not the queen, but I'd forgotten the king was in dummy, so yes, it shouldn't be too difficult.
Now try to tell me and the audience why Grue selected this line. There must be a reason for it. So can you tell us what's going on? What his reasoning is?
Well, I think he's had a blind spot. I mean, the spade lead allowed him to take 2 finesses, to finesse East 5, the 10 or the queen, so it was pretty reasonable to back it rather than put in the jack. and now he's instantly played a trump-off dummy. I wonder if he's thought this through.
I wonder if he thought that, well, Levin can't have a singleton spade, and he would have led one. So he knows that spades are 3-2, almost certainly. Maybe he feels that Weinstein wouldn't have switched to a spade without if he held queen to 3.
Yep, perhaps 7-4-3 is the holding he's playing for.
So, no more gifts from Weinstein?
Well, it was a great gift, really, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't a gift, because if the finesse is working, it's working.
Yes, a great gift, indeed.
Well, maybe, I'm just thinking about it, suppose Grue had the 10 of spades and Levin the jack. Wouldn't leading the spade give up the suit? So maybe Grue just never believed that Weinstein would shift to queen to 3.
I guess Weinstein didn't visualise the layout with the spades unbid, and he was a little more worried about the hearts developing with a finesse, and he was looking to attack dummies' entries.
So, the USA 2 lead, the 10 imp carryover, cancelled out on the very first board.
Yes, I think Weinstein was playing his partner for the ace of spades and not the ace of diamonds, which is pretty reasonable, I think, on the bidding, in which case attack the spades and get your second spade trick before the ace of hearts is dislodged. So I think there's quite a lot of solid reasoning behind that spade.
And which turned out to be great anyway, because it made Grue believe that the queen of spades was with Levin.
Also, it forced him to take the position at trick 3, and he really would have liked to find out a bit more about the hand, like where the diamond honours are and stuff like that. So it really hurried the play. Maybe Declarer would have been better off to put the jack of spades in. If it's covered with the queen, he's still got the option of finessing the 10 on the way back.
People often debate what you should do in 4th position when you hold a strong no trump, and both opponents have bid. And we see that both these pairs play a strong no trump, a natural 1 no trump in 4th seat, not both the first 2 boards. And it just goes to show that the reason that they do this is because their opponents can sometimes be very light. Although Weinstein and Levin are giving no respect at all to Joe Grue's overcall.
Well, yes, and I'd like to comment on that, Paul. I mean, people open on 9 counts and respond on 3 or 4 counts. I mean, they shouldn't be allowed to talk you out of your possible vulnerable game. So I think you need 1-0 Trump to be natural in the sandwich position. And as Al Hollander pointed out, he only noticed CC from 2 pairs in the Bermuda Bowl that mentioned the sandwich no Trump as showing a light take out double with the other 2 suits. That sounds pretty easy to play after the 1-0 Trump overcall. Weinstein knows that Lall is broke. The Queen of Hearts will be on side. No problem.
It looks like he can hold it to 10 tricks, perhaps. There was a diamond lead in the other room. While he plays this carefully, there are a number of online competitions going on predicting the results of all of the 3 events here being held in Veldhoven. I think a lot of people will have correctly predicted the 4 semi-finalists for the Bermuda Bowl. I can't believe that any person has predicted the semi-finals of the Venice Cup, given that neither of the 2 favourites, USA 1 and USA 2, have made it.
In the Venice Cup, the Netherlands, the host country, have had a disastrous start to this match, and consequently France an amazing start. That France being 21 up after 2 balls. England 9 up against Indonesia. And as England had a carryover of 10.5 imps, they are 19.5 up, which is in effect 20 imps, of course. Well, you just have to be a little careful here, right? I mean, he can't afford to knock out the ace of clubs at this point, I don't think. I think he has to get back to his hand now that he now needs to get to hand with the diamond.
Certainly Grue has a lot of opportunities here to hold the over trick. He could get in with the ace of clubs and clear the trumps, or play the king of spades, developing a second trump trick for him. But of course Weinstein is thinking about 10 tricks, not 11. He doesn't seem to have played this very safely, to be honest, because he's got no entry to his hand to develop the spades. So this looks like a swing out of the blue coming up. Unless I've missed something, this contract's heading off.
I don't think you missed anything there. The trouble was that he didn't come to hand with a diamond, and that's what he needed after the hard finesse. So now we can understand the swings in the match between the Netherlands and France in the Venice Cup, where France scored 21 imps on the first two balls. We can see that there were possibilities of swings, and there have been swings in this match as well.
Coming back to hand with a diamond and playing a club up only works because there's ace doubleton of diamonds, doesn't it? Ace doubleton in clubs.
Yes. the new minor forcing? Or is two clubs always relay to two diamonds?
Well, this contract is no gimme, is it? This is a swing board as well. This time Joe does need to drop the doubleton queen.
Right. But wait a second. Could you look at the card? What do they lead from Queen 10-9?
They lead
I
to
think
9.
yes, exactly. I think I saw the 9 the other day from Queen 10-9. So the Queen is marked now.
I hate resulting, but I've always disliked these coded leads where you've got showing two higher honours and stuff like that, basically because it gives away so much. I prefer the leads to be ambiguous so that no one knows what you've got, partner nor declarer.
And this is a very good example.
I have the same debate with Bobby Wolf, because he, like Bill, firmly hates these leads that give away information like this one does appear to. I do play coded leads, not necessarily 0 or 2 higher honours, but I do play encoded leads, and I would lead the 9 here from Queen 10-9. And my only rebuttal is, if Levin and Weinstein, possibly one of the top 3 pairs in the world, are doing it, it can't be that bad. But clearly it looks bad here.
Let's wait and see if they're still doing it next week. They lose this match by 5 imps. But obviously there are deals where it works well, right? To inform everyone what sort of hand you've got. So it's not like it's stupid to play one way or the other. It's just I personally have a preference for keeping it ambiguous.
Well, I'm told by Eugene Hung from USA that they also lead the 10 sometimes from Queen 10-9, depending on their suit length. Well, in that case, it's not obvious.
Looking at the convention card, I wonder if they do that primarily in no trumps, as opposed to a super contract.
I'm asked this question: will the slow play favour USA 1? What do you think, guys?
My view is slow play is overrated. I don't think it'll bother anybody. The player's perception of time at the table, I think, is very different to our perception of time watching it.
I didn't really understand the question.
I think I do, because I think the asker knows that Grue and Lall like to play fast. So if the play is slow, will it affect USA 2 rather? Will they could they be annoyed, frustrated if East or West takes a long tank or something like that?
Meanwhile, if our operator has got this right, Joe Grue has just gone off in this fourth spade.
But something interesting happened in Diamonds while we were talking about slow play. What exactly did Weinstein do?
Lall led to 10 and Weinstein put the king on.
Yes, he played East for a doubleton honour. We have a perfect record so far. 3 hands, 3 probable misplays in game contracts.
So he played the king rather than the queen, but does that make any difference? I mean, if he has king-queen, they're equals, aren't they?
It would
right,
be very normal.
If he only has one, I mean, he has a restricted choice.
Right, but you're also playing for East to be precisely a doubleton. There was clearly an odds against play. I was listening to Curtis Cheek being interviewed. He's the non-playing captain of USA 2. And he flagged that Joe Grue was very much a flair player. So we've seen his flair actually on boards 1 and 3, and on board 2 to a degree, which he defended really well. It's kind of not worked out for him so far. But I think he just follows his instincts to a degree.
I've said before that I found Joe Grue and Curtis Cheek is not dissimilar. Really scary to play against. And the reason is they do have this flair, but they are also exceptionally talented.
Now, Netherlands have taken an early lead against Italy. There's only 4 imps in it. But for the Dutch ladies, it's from bad to worse. They're 37 down now, after 4 boards against France.
Have to navigate the hard rough, which should be pretty straightforward. I'm a little surprised he led the 3 of clubs rather than a higher one, but I think Lall should realise that he swung ace and another heart here.
Yes, he's not leading the ace of hearts from ace queen third, is he? So Lall knows the situation and actually should be able to largely count out the hand.
Well, not only that, why would partner underlead an ace? And you have to ask yourself that question every time. Why would partner underlead an ace? Well, because he wants a ruff. It's not like a dummy had something like King Jack, right? So giving the player a guess. Dummy had 3 small. So, should be obvious. And it was.
Well, I think after the first 3 boards, I wouldn't begrudge anybody taking a moment or two just to double check.
As it is, they're already too high. But if South had passed, Weinstein would get in with a double in the balancing seat. So nothing lost really for North House. And here's the evidence that he would get in over 2 clubs pass, because he's getting in over 3 clubs.
So Levin not tempted to do anything more with his 12 count, because he knows his partner would have doubled 2 no trumps for takeout if he'd had a solid takeout double. So he knows it's just a balancing. And he's in a slightly uncomfortable contract, I expect.
Well, it can certainly go down if they can navigate their diamond rough. It's not altogether easy to do. That's a very smart play by Joe. He's navigating away.
So Lall will probably put the 9 of diamonds on this to indicate that he does have a solid entry in space. Although from Grue's position it's pretty obvious what's happening, isn't it? He hasn't got a lot of choice other than to play his partner for a spade entry.
It was a neat play though, wasn't it, by North? I mean, he could be setting up the Queen of Clubs. In fact, he was setting up the Queen of Clubs. But looking at that dummy, he realises that there's no useful discard to be made on the Queen of Clubs, and he really wanted to take control of the defence.
Yes, that's what I mean when I say there's more than flair to Joe Grue. This is just really good bridge, isn't it?
Would they have bid game if the bidding had gone 2 clubs past double? Would you bid game with the East hand? Would you bid 3 clubs? Would you bid 3 hearts? What would you bid?
I think I'd want to invite on the East hand again. And the Queen of Clubs is a bit of a doubtful card. Opposite partners take out double. It's just a solid 10 count, really. Now, how he could do that, I don't know. He could jump to 3 hearts or maybe use some sort of Levin soul. But generally, I think I'd want to invite game with East and reject with West.
Yeah, that's my view as well. Weakish hearts, Queen of Clubs, 4 triple 3, non-vulnerable. You shouldn't commit to game with that hand.
So 4 strikes against it, which doesn't set up the baseball analogy very well, but I think they're all valid points.
Partner would be in the balancing seat as well, so I might even go even lower than inviting. Although I'm not sure I'd actually be able to bring myself to do that at the table.
Come on, Paul. No, you're not a wimp. You wouldn't bid 2 hearts. Don't tell us.
Well, I don't think it's wimpish to bid 2 hearts. It's actually really quite courageous in a way to evaluate the hand along with all those 5 strikes now that you guys have mentioned, and really dog it with 2 hearts.
The players are laughing, I guess, because no one's made a contract yet, although Lall hasn't played one. So 5 boards and they're all down 1.
But I can assure you that a spade contract East-West will not go down. Well, unless they get to 7, of course. They won't.
It depends when the roundabout stops, doesn't it? It's East's 4 hearts here looks like a fit jump. So by a passed hand, showing 4 spades, typically showing 4 spades, 5 hearts, and the values for 4 spades. Clearly he's quite a bit better than that. But difficult for Weinstein with a singleton diamond. He won't. Is he going to see his partner's shortage in clubs that makes the slam excellent?
If the players want to keep the streak alive, they could get to the par contract, which I think is 7 diamonds doubled, potentially down 6 for a score of 1400.
That would gain north, south, and imp.
I think Zagorian's 5 hard bet in the other room was very good. And that made partner jump to slam. The auction was a little different in that room.
Yes, looking at the auction in the other room, it seems that West's 5 heart bid was probably just a kind of last train bid, saying, partner, I have lots of extras, do you have the right stuff to bid slam? And that made it and East clearly, if partner's interested, is going to bid slam. I don't think they necessarily knew that they had the heart fit. unless East small diamonds was a transfer to hearts, but I think East was just showing a good hand, so they judged it very well. And Weinstein had given up on judgment here. He decided just to bid the slam and put the pressure onto north-south. Very tough for north-south to save in 7 diamonds when they've made their opponents guess to some extent. And if Levin had had only 5 hearts and a doubleton club, they would have been entirely right. So I don't think we can criticize them for not taking the save when the save would only save them an imp anyway.
They flicked to the next hand, and I had a look at east-west heart holding and got very confused, thinking it was the previous hand. A remarkable similarity.
So I think Lall's double here shows, yes, 4+ spades, as the written people have said. Weinstein could have shown a strong raise in hearts, but his hand, as we've said before, the 4-3-3 and the very soft queens and jacks make it not a particularly good hand. We call it quacky with all those queens and jacks. So Lall would have loved to compete at that point. He knows his opponent play in an 8-card fit if you especially got many spades. Certainly he's unlikely to have 3. And he's also facing a 1 diamond opener in 3rd seat, so his partner may not be completely honest.
Well, his partner doesn't seem to be honest in 1st, 2nd or 4th seat. Sorry, Paul. But I do think this is a little downside of their very light openings, that South felt that he didn't have a good enough hand to risk venturing to essentially the 3-level in the minors, opposite one of Joe's opening bids.
Yes, I agree, Bill. I think when you reckon up what your bidding style wins and losses, you have to remember hands like this where you undercompete because you're concerned about what partner may or may not actually have for his opening bid.
But full marks to Levin Weinstein here. What you said about downgrading the soft values was crucial, really, because at the other table they did 2 diamonds, which I suspect was something like a sound raise to 2 hearts, and East made a game try.
I've no doubt if Lall had competed, then Levin would have taken the push to 3 hearts to flatten the board. So it is a slight loss by the USA 2 team.
This is for the trivia buffs. I wonder how many lead changes there will be in this match. By my calculation, after the first 7 boards, we will have seen 5 changes of lead. In fact, I think each swing has resulted in a change of the lead.
The Americans just love statistics, so just keep on recording all them, Bill, and send them to the ACBL, and they will be delighted.
It could go like that, couldn't it? I mean, it is actually quite strange that all 5 swings have actually swung the lead.
But what really counts here is who is leading after board 96. So one thing is certain, we'll have a USA team in the final here in the Bermuda Bowl, and also in the seniors, as we have USA 1 playing USA 2 there. Another thing is certain, that we won't have an American team in the final in the women's event, the Venice Cup, because both American teams were knocked out yesterday in the quarterfinals.
I wonder which was the last Venice Cup when the an American team did not get a medal.
I looked it up and I didn't find one occasion where we didn't have USA in the semi-finals. I don't think I overlooked anything. But you know, that's the first time for everything.
I don't know what range one-no trump East-West play, but it's kind of a tempting one-no trump opening if you want to do something slightly left field.
Oh, well.
There he goes.
They play a strong no trump, so although they can upgrade 14s.
They say it's good to bid no trumps with Queen Doubletons, lead coming up to Queen Doubletons, so this must be ecstasy for West, who's got two of them.
And I'm concerned. You know why? Because I can see 3 of my students in the audience, and I told them, don't open one no trump on a 14 count. Do not open one no trump when you are 2-2 in the majors. And you know what they're saying now when they come back to me? Well, why can't we? We just saw Weinstein do that on vugraph.
Just tell them that when they have won as much money at poker as Weinstein have, they can do it.
All right. Or when they have won as many bridge events as Weinstein has, they can do it, right?
Indeed, yeah.
Well, this contract's going to get dispatched in the first 4 tricks, I feel.
This is a bit unlucky to go down. They've done well to bid the game. I think when Joe Grue and Justin Lall were discussing system, they sort of started off with Grue's system with Curtis Cheek and took a lot out of it. And Justin said that his main contribution was, all I wanted to play over one no trump was 2 clubs shows the majors. So that's why they're playing 2 hearts, is just a very natural overcall. So Levin is going to rough this and lead the 2 of diamonds back to the ace and get a second rough.
If they had played Wolsey, the Wolsey convention, or multi-landy if you like, I mean, South would have got to play 4 hearts, wouldn't he? And would probably have made it.
Probably. Of course, North might have decided to show hearts and a minor. I guess with the 6-card hearts, he's more likely to show a single suited heart. But he would still have had the option of bidding 2 hearts to show hearts and a minor.
In my view, you should treat 6-4s, particularly when you have a very good 6-card major, as a one-suiter. So I would definitely show it as a one-suiter.
There's no doubt, Roland, you're going to chalk this up as another reason why Multilandy is one of your favourite conventions. But a bit unlucky, I'd have to agree with Paul there.
Yep. Same happened in the other room. I didn't have a look at the bidding, but I suspect North. Well, they didn't open when no Trump, so that explains it. Oh, they did.
I think they did.
They did indeed.
One no Trump double.
And what defence is that? Double? Show long major and... Well, is that cap? Well, you know cap. It's double? No, two clubs is cap. It's a one-suiter in cap. So what is double?
It was explained as 4 of a major, 5 of a minor, or a good 6-card major.
It looks like a souped-up Woolsey convention.
So, straightforward Texas sequence here. The Texas convention being very popular in the United States. Not so much in Europe. I don't know about Australia. Can you tell us, Bill?
Oh yes, I play it. If that's any help.
Yeah, but don't most people just transfer to 2 hearts and they bid 4? Or do they play South African Texas perhaps? 4 clubs and 4 diamonds?
No, I don't know. It's certainly played. I couldn't give you a percentage, Roland. It doesn't come up often enough. But yeah, I think it's played occasionally down under.
Long last some luck for declarer here. Queen of Hearts Singleton, Queen Jack Diamonds on side, Ace 1 spades, so he will only lose 1 spade trick. This won't paralyze declarer. Or maybe he takes a third round. No, he doesn't take a first round finesse. Can't believe that. No. Oh.
Making 6, I think.
Levin was pretty much end played on the opening lead, wasn't it? And the spade was one of the worst he could have chosen. A diamond would have given up the diamond suit. Trump lead, as it happened, would have been the best, since declarer was always getting the trumps right. But I think if you're dealt Jack 10, 9, 8, then you're going to lead that suit, aren't you? So likely to be flat if they're playing it the same way round in the other room. In fact, even if they're playing it the other way round, West doesn't have the easiest lead in the world.
Italy had a nice swing on board 8, so they're up now by 5. So suppose 2 clubs could be 5-4 either way, is that correct, Paul? Could be 5 diamonds, 4 clubs, or 4 diamonds and 5 clubs.
Yes, yes. Certainly that's what Al has said, and that seems right. I mean, Grue wouldn't correct, probably wouldn't correct unless there was only 1 card disparity. Weinstein leads the trump because he knows the hearts are likely to be poorly placed for declarer, although as it happens they're pretty solid. But he also has club length, so he wants to cut down the roughs and dummy. Cards actually lie quite well for Lall here. This is his first contract, and I would think he's probably going to make it. The defenders are going to struggle to set anything up.
Actually, I was also thinking it was his first contract, but it wasn't. He actually was declarer on board. Oh no, I beg your pardon. Probably is his first contract.
Are your wife using a hairdryer or the vacuum cleaner, Bill?
Pardon?
Well, I think I can hear something in the background.
Okay, I'm trying a different computer and it's perhaps not working very well.
Oh, it is. Don't worry about it. Just sounded like a hairdryer or a vacuum cleaner. It's fine.
I have a feeling it was the disc.
Oh, right.
I can't turn it off, I don't think.
Is your wife also watching, or is she not too keen on watching bridge online?
No, she's not. She's not watching at the moment. She does occasionally watch when I'm playing on a vugraph, but no, she's not that keen on watching online.
And your wife, Paul, watching or scrabbling?
She is scrabbling today. She might well watch the bridge when it gets to the end of the semi-finals, but her priority is learning all the new words for January.
Oh, really? Now, is QI a word nowadays in Scrabble, Paul?
It's been a word for the last 5 years, I think.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit behind the times, but I imagine it's had a significant effect on on the high-level competitions.
Yes, fair to say the players like it.
We might have lost a few listeners here, so I think we should mention that Paul Gibson's wife is a world-class Scrabble player.
She is a fair bridge player as well. She'd be a lot better bridge player if she gave up Scrabble. But she does captain the local Berwick team in the Scottish League, and we are currently the mixed pairs champion. So she does play occasionally, and she is hugely competitive, which I think comes from her Scrabble side. But she is hugely competitive, which really helps.
I admire you guys playing with your wives. Some can, some can't. We know that. So meanwhile, this will be making on the nose 8 tricks, declare 90 points. And as predicted in the beginning, we might overtake the closed room, although they started earlier than us. And it has come true now.
So it seems that this is just an exciting set of boards everywhere. We've had 55 imps in 10 hands, and all of the other semi-finals seem to be going a similar way, with a number of imps being spread around the two teams. So Justin Lall is one of the players who writes a lot, and he contributes significantly to the internet forums that BBO run. And one thing he said is he is a very classical preemptor. Although he and Joe Grue are a very aggressive pair, Justin is pretty classical when it comes to his preempts, and we see that he has made here a fairly classical modern 4-diamond opening call.
Classical modern. That sounds like a bit of an oxymoron to me. And
Yeah, classical and modern. I see.
I think I'd slightly prefer I mean, it's in between, isn't it? I'd slightly prefer the opponents to be vulnerable. I think if you're white versus red, then 4 diamonds is right. White versus white, it's more borderline, isn't it?
I think perhaps if he'd have had a 3-card major, then he might have been more inclined to open 3 diamonds, but perhaps the 2-1 in the majors just tipped the balance to open 4 diamonds, again alongside the quality of his diamonds.
Yes, I think that's a really good point about the majors. Doesn't really have to be too worried about missing 4 of a major, preempting partner out of showing a major. This is a situation where, looking at Justin Lall as he considers what to play here, where with the Jack of Clubs in dummy, you kind of think that your right-hand opponent probably hasn't got the club queen. So I think he's kind of tempted to go up with the king here and try a spade finesse. The good news is that the king won't win, so won't be able to take a losing spade finesse.
But if East didn't have the Queen of Spades, wouldn't he lead a small club from almost any holding?
Yeah, certainly my reasoning wasn't completely solid, because a club switch is kind of tempting, isn't it, when you know that East is looking at dummy with the Ace King Jack of Spades. It's certainly not a certainty that East doesn't have the Queen of Clubs.
What I find interesting in this carding situation is how East cards. So it's fine for Weinstein here because Lall has shown the King of Clubs by taking his time here. So he knows his partner hasn't led from the King of Clubs. But if Lall had played low small quickly, then Weinstein has to decide after cashing the Ace of Clubs whether to try and cash a heart or maybe another club.
Well, I'm very old-fashioned here. I don't think there's a total solution to what card you play in the middle of the game from 3 small, but I tend to play the mud card, the middle up down, to try to combine giving the count with denying an honour. But maybe there's a better approach.
I don't think there is. I think you're right. It's not a solvable solution because if Weinstein had king 9-5, king 9-6, he'd have led the 6, and then played the 9. So there is no way of working out what it is.
I suspect there's a whole nation of polls that will tell you that you should lead upside down in this position. So you lead the 9 from 3 small, and low from a doubleton, and low from an honour.
Probably, yeah. And they might well be right.
Anyway, the classical modern 4 diamonds didn't quite work, but I think it was a pretty reasonable choice. But he may lose 4 imps here if his counterpart at the other table decides to open 3 diamonds. So I think that'll get passed out as well.
Support double, 3 spades. I'm not so sure about 4 hearts.
No, I wonder if Levin was just trying to push them into 4 spades. And it looks like it's going to go one down, perhaps. Flop 2 diamonds and a spade. He'll be able to set up the king of clubs to pitch his 4th spade, even if Lall was able to get up in sufficient time to draw all of the trumps.
I don't agree with Kit here, that he is unlucky that much of his partner's values are in clubs. And where would they be?
Well, even if at least the king of clubs is going to make a trick. If he'd had the king of diamonds, then it might have been even worse.
And also, he did find the king of hearts on side. I don't think he has been particularly unlucky here. Perhaps he was lucky in the sense that he didn't get a spade lead, and that was probably the reason for bidding 4 hearts, was that he expected a spade lead, or at least was hoping for one. So a couple of part score swings for USA 1, 3 and 4 imps on boards 10 and 11. And they all add up.
Yep, that was the classical 3 diamonds opened. old-fashioned classical rather than modern classical.
Uh, 5,400 people watching the Italy-Netherlands match, and only around 1,300 this match. That's a logical explanation, of course, because time is horrible for USA now, and pretty good for Europe. It's midday in Central Europe now.
On this combination, Lall's 8 of spades is going to be the setting trick. But, it's getting slightly nervous for the defence as Levin takes his pitch. Or, well, he hasn't taken the pitch, but it wouldn't have made any difference. No, maybe he will take the pitch.
I slightly disagree with the commentators. I don't mind Levin's 4-half bid at all, really. I think it's the pressure bid, and that's why they're in the final, and they want to keep the pressure on this young team. It's likely to be duplicated in the other rooms. I'm quite happy with it, and it hasn't gone disastrously wrong.
Oh, to the contrary. Did he really play a club? I don't believe that. Okay, good.
Well, he's not under any pressure here because he knows that his partner has 3 spades from the double in the auction, and therefore Levin has 4 spades, so he's not under any pressure about what to keep. So we're going to see a strong no trump from Bobby Levin sitting east, and I guess we'll see another Texas transfer.
So, new listeners, same question. Why is the score 31-37 and on the score sheet is 21-27? Because USA 2 had a carryover of 10 imps. So they were 10-0 in front before play started. And the carryover comes from the match between the two teams in the round robin, where USA 2 won the match by 20 imps, and the rules allow them to carry half of that advantage forward.
Do you think the West Hand is worth a slam try here? I mean, if you give partners some perfect cards, say travel that Queen of Diamonds down into clubs, you could have a lay down slam.
Possible. I'd like to transfer first, and then, well, if my partner breaks, as he did now, do we know whether that's a minimum or a maximum with 4 trumps? We know now because Al knows it's 4 hearts and a maximum. Well, I might make a try with 4 clubs now. But they have other methods. 3 spades to transfer to 3 no trump, I suppose.
I guess that Weinstein's probably just shown diamond shortage here, which isn't.
So is 3 spades promising an unspecified singleton? Probably. 3
Yes, that's
no
my
trump
guess.
asking where? 3 no trump asking where? 4 clubs would be clubs, 4 diamonds would be diamonds, and 4 hearts would be spades. That's a nice treatment. The Netherlands gained a slam swing here against Italy.
4 spades will almost certainly be key card, I expect. So Weinstein may be deciding whether he's got. Okay, Kit thinks it's a cubid, and he should definitely know. Kit Wilsey being the coach of USA 1.
So the Dutch up by 18 imps now in that match against Italy. And the same slam swing in the ladies' match between the Netherlands and France. It was a swing to the Dutch ladies, so they are back in it now.
I must admit that I wouldn't have looked for slam. I'd have just transferred into 4 hearts and hope to make it. I wouldn't have looked for slam.
Well, you're as right as you are wrong, because obviously it's just a 50% slam, and very disappointing to get these hands. There's no bridge skill in them, really.
In the seniors match between Poland and France, they have exchanged 82 imps and 14 balls. 41 to 41.
I will say on that slam, at least they are in a 6-4 fit. If you bid that sort of slam in a 5-4 fit, then you probably find, as well as a finesse needing to work, you'd also need a nice trump break as well. So it's not quite as bad as some of the slams that people bid, but so it's not complete luck, but again, as Bill said, it does seem a little unfair at times.
So here we have the garbage Stayman. Weinstein hoping for a better trump. Sometimes you get lucky. Partner responds to a major and you're happy to play that. And more often you get a 2-diamond response and then you have to bid 2 hearts, which show 4-4 in the majors, and wanting to get out in the 4-3 pit.
I think it is important to know as a partnership that you can bid Stayman on a hand this week. It doesn't matter on an auction like this, but if the opposition interfere and compete, then the fact you can be very weak is important for your partner to know, so that he doesn't over-compete just because he thinks you have some value somewhere.
What do you think Lall will do? Declare a place ace of spades and another. Will he duck smoothly?
I thought he might try roughing some diamonds, to be honest. I haven't got around to your question yet.
I think he would duck
probably
smoothly. Weinstein would be roughing with
That's my eventually, and he will eventually, and my feeling is that Lall will duck smoothly.
You can make this contract by going after the diamonds, with the diamonds friendly. He's likely to lose 4 club tricks and a long heart. Well, maybe I'm wrong there.
No, we shall see. Well, nothing smooth about it. Oh, well, It would have been smooth at the table, obviously. Well done, now. So it has just been announced that our A match in the next set will be Italy against the Netherlands, which means that we will have voice commentary for that match.
Do you like the 2-club overcall?
I like to have 6 cards when I overcall, I must admit. I don't like a 5-3-3-2 shape, but I do like the suit. I mean, I would never do it with Ace-King empty to 5, but there's a difference with Ace-King 10-9-8.
One of the things, if the intermediate players at the Berwick club where I play chat to me about, I say one of the things they do too much is overcall on pretty at the 2 level on weakish 5-card suits. But I'd say it's actually a bit of a trend in the modern game that people are tending to do it more often with hands a bit like Weinstein, with transferable values rather than having solid suits. It's certainly something that Ulf Nielsen from Sweden has written about in a couple of the magazines that I read. So I think it depends what your style is. It really is a style question rather than a right or wrong question.
Well, Weinstein had to choose between 3 courts here, didn't he? 2 clubs, double or pass. Well, none of which is ideal this hand. I don't mind 2 clubs too much, but I wouldn't mind pass or double either.
I think it's a toss-up between the double and 2 clubs. I don't like to pass at all.
Yes, I agree. I'd like to get my initial action in. It just seems safer to act first. I could get preempted out if I pass. I'd definitely be for action. It's just a matter of selecting which one you feel is right.
Would you not even consider pass if you were vulnerable against not, Bill?
No. But I think in that scenario I would probably double and give it the one shot to get to the 4-half game. But that's a pretty solid hand, isn't it? And the reason that two clubs is kind of attractive is that 10-9-8 of clubs. It's a good buffer against a bad break. But I do think it's tactically wrong to pass that hand at any vulnerability. And it's a bit like your discussion on the sandwich, no trump over call Roland. I mean, if you pass now and it's up at two spades when it gets back to you, you're absolutely committed to passing again. So you can't back into this auction vulnerable. You've got to get in while the level is lower, if you are going to get in at all.
Well, I'm not so sure about that, Bill, because if you pass and it goes two spades pass, at least you know that both opponents are limited.
Well, they're still limited to having a probable majority of the points, and you don't have an 8-card fit yet that you can guarantee your partner's 3-4-4-2 shape, which partner actually was. So yes, I guess there's a small measure of protection there, but I'd feel a lot more nervous forcing that up to the 3 level than I would leaving it at forcing it to the 2 level in the first place.
USA 1 has had a very good set here. I mean, leading the set by 29 imps. Well, the overall score is only 19, but that's just because of the carryover USA 2 had.
Of course, if the ace of clubs had been on the other side on the slam hands, the match would be very close now. They have had a good set, but it's still pretty close, isn't it?
Very. So, last board of the set. Time for me to thank our excellent operator in Veldhoven. His name is Dennis Storman. Well done to you. Also thanks to my co-commentators, Bill and Paul, and our colleagues doing the written commentary, Venki, Al, Tryon and Kit. I also think Giorgio Saleh from Hungary was here once upon a time. Many thanks to our spectators for coming this morning in Europe. Thanks to the WBF for allowing us to broadcast from this prestigious event. I hope you'll be back with us when play resumes in about 1 hour and 15 minutes, 13:45 Central European Time. Thanks everyone.
This is a slam on 2 finesses, both of them in clubs. And I think that 4-diamond bid will probably turn south off.
Well, until now he's just denied a hard control. But, I mean, come on. Grue again, 4-3-3, and only King Queen of hearts, King Queen 1. Time to sign off. And he did. So we will continue with all 6 semi-finals when we come back in about 75 minutes. But we'll just change the A and B match so that Italy and the Netherlands would be the featured a vugraph match on site, and the A match for us, which means that we will have voice commentary for that match. I know your partner is coming, Bill.
That's good. I might listen in.
Very good. So you'll come back and listen to him, won't you?
That's right. If he says anything really wrong, I'll pick him up on it in an email subsequently.
he can hear you now.
Oops.
I think you should just jump onto the voice, Bill, and tell him he's wrong, like a real partner would.
We do it enough at the table. But I have actually commentated one session here with Ben, and we managed to survive the experience.
Yeah, I did that on purpose, I can tell you. Put the two of you together to see how that would work out. And I was pleasantly surprised.
It is very helpful to have friends, and the kibitzers are very good as well at pointing out things that you do miss. I mean, being away from the pressure of looking at all the forehands and trying to work out what's happening and what the player at the table who's a lot better than me is thinking of doing, it's very easy to miss things. And I'm very grateful for the kibitzers who point things out for me quietly and never really get any recognition.
But you know what? I'm actually getting addicted to voice commentary now. So the question is if I'll ever go back to the written part.
I must admit I feel the same, and there have been a couple of times on this session where Benke has said the same thing on the typed commentary that we've said on voice, and you just know he thought of it at the same time, he saw it at the same time, if not in front of us, but it just takes a lot longer to type it in.
Yes, but obviously we can't do without the written commentary. So that's it for now, folks. Thank you and goodbye. See you later.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Were allowed to simply bid completely randomly, and then they got like 80% or something on the second day.
Oh yes, that was a craze during the period when, the strong pass came up in mid-80s. Lots of people tried different systems where the trash spades varied. For some people it was one spade, for some people it was one club, for some others it was one diamond. Because once people opted to pass strong, they had to have a bid for a trash hand.
In Australia we call that the fertiliser bid, or the FERT for short. Just sprinkling a little bit of manure into the auction to get things going.
Are there any blue club players in Australia?
None that I'm aware of, but there's a handful of forcing pass pairs that play in Sydney.
Okay. Once again, thanks Dave, all. I'll sign off for now. Bye.
See you all.